Hey everybody, how you doing? Got something fun to try today. Alrighty, a while back, those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I like Swedish Snus. It's my go-to smokeless product. However, lately the FDA has been cracking down on the importation of Swedish snus. So a lot of the Swedish snus sites out there, most of them are based in Europe, or actually all of them are based in Europe. Europe, UK, stuff like that, Isle of Man. They've been cracking down on a lot of them, red listing a bunch of brands. So a bunch of manufacturers, rather than deal with all the government red tape, they just stopped shipping to America. Yeah, a few of them still do, but it can be a crapshoot. They only let you buy the ones that aren't on the red list. It's kind of hit or miss which ones are or aren't. Some of my favorites have been red listed. Yeah. So I took it upon myself to make my own Swedish style snus. I went to Reddit. There is a DIY snus subreddit over there. One of the users, Nordic Surfer, I believe is his handle. He posted a process that he uses. I looked at that and I'm like, yeah, that looks fairly simple, straightforward. And I've also gone to Snus at Home. He has a nice YouTube channel here. A lot of snus, a lot of snuff reviews. Matt over there, wealth of information, a lot of do-it-yourself type stuff. I looked at some of his techniques and I looked at Nordic Surfer's recipe. I kind of put them together and this is what I got. Now I tried a little bit of this when it was fresh. It wasn't bad at all. Now this has been sitting in my fridge for about, I'd say 5-6 weeks now. I've gotten busy at work, haven't had a chance to get to it. Today is the day. Now to make this, I did not use any kind of fancy tobacco. Went to a local smoke shop, pretty much the only actual smoke shop in the county. Well, there's a couple of others, but they mainly focus on glass water pipes, if you know what I'm referring to. Anyway, I use this OHM rolling tobacco. It's pipe tobacco, but a lot of guys use it for roll your own cigarettes. Everything I've been able to find on the website, no additives, no added chemicals, desiccants, anything like that. Just straight dried tobacco, which is exactly what I was looking for. But to add a little more body to that stuff, I've made do-it-yourself a moist snuff dip with this. I've played around with a couple of recipes before. It turned out not bad. It's missing that smoky element you get from the dark fire tobacco, but in all, it's actually a decent product. I'm still playing around with that. But for this, I wanted to add a little extra body from what that normally has. So I grabbed a couple of old cigars in my humidor. Cheap cigars, ones I don't particularly care for. I got them in a sampler or something years ago. They've just been rolling around in there. Never going to smoke them probably. So I sacrificed them to the snus. Put it all together, ground it all up, added the rest of the ingredients, processed it. I did this in a water bath. I put them in mason jars, sunk them in the water, and I did them in a water bath. I have an instant pot, and mine has a sous vide, or sous verde, whatever the foo-foo pronunciation for that is. Held it at a constant temperature, and I left it there for 2.5 days. So, got a nice pasteurized tobacco product. And this one has a touch of whiskey added to it. Smells good. Smells really good. I added a little bit of liquid smoke to it as well, just to try to add a little smoky note. And the whiskey I used, was a mini bottle of, I think, JD blended whiskey. It's from the 1970s. I got a bunch of stuff in an estate lot I picked up a long time ago. And there are a bunch of minis in the bottom of this box, all sealed, still have the tax stamps and everything on them. And I looked up the tax stamps and they all dated from the mid 1970s. So, yeah. Use old blended whiskey in there. I put some of it in a snus can. There's your money shot. Kind of give you an idea what we're looking at here. It's a very fine, very moist tobacco product. I've been not sure if I'm just going to hand roll this, hillbilly pinch it, or use the Priest Master. Not sure which one will get me the best bang for the buck. Loose snus tends to be a little messy. You throw it in your upper lip. They get what they call mudslides because this is a very fine product and it's very moist, and it gets up there and it kind of can make a muddy mess unless you pack it down real good. So let me play with it says Priest Master. The way these things work, it has a tube right here. And as you stomp this into the can, that little tube retracts. And that tube fills up with compacted snus. And then you just push it back out, and you have a little priest or prilla of Swedish snus. So, I've never tried it with this homemade stuff. I've only sampled this once or twice when it was pretty fresh. Now that it's had to sit and mellow for a while, it should be greatly improved. It wasn't bad the first time I tried it. This stuff here definitely has a moisture content. And this Priest Master, extrude it back out. Come on, there we go. And you have a nice big chunk, which is a lot more than what I usually put in. But, hey. Yeah, I do some hand squishing. It was a little too loose. You can do these by hand too. You just take a wad, bundle it up in your fingers, get yourself a nice tight little ball of snus, and in it goes. This is a little bit larger than what I'm used to. I usually make mine a bit smaller, but oh well. And this is a pasteurized product, so it can be spit free. I use the old cigars because back in the day, that's primarily what they used to make Swedish snus. They used old cigar clippings from the cigar factories. When they're trimming the cigars and everything, all the scraps, they'd have them bag it up, they'd ship it off to the snus factory, and that's what they would make their snus out of, because they could get it for cheap. And at the end, you're grinding it all up anyway, so it doesn't really matter the quality or the, if it's a whole leaf or if it's got a hole or a crack in it or if it's chopped up, because they're going to grind it into a fine tobacco flour anyway. Which is why I had no problem using this. I put this in my dehydrator for a couple hours just to make sure it was really dry, really crunchy. I had one of those, it's like a knockoff of like a NutriBullet, those little hand blender things. That's what I use to grind it up to a fairly fine powder. I didn't strain it or anything. This has a few little bigger chunks in there from the grinding process. I kind of left that in there mainly to see if it would help hold it together. And so far it is. This is holding rock solid. It's not mudsliding on me at all so far. I've been sitting up here. I'm talking and everything, and it's right there. Not bad. Flavor? Good tobacco flavor. And that whiskey that the recipe called for? Not bad. This is like a Swedish snus, like a Islay whiskey type Swedish snus, which I really enjoy. And so far, everything my taste buds are telling me with this, they're telling me, hey, you got snus in your lip. Yeah, got snus. Homemade snus from Roll Your Own Tobacco. This entire bag cost me like 12 bucks. If you're in a lower tax state, it'll probably cost you a lot less. Now, I was able to use that to make this, and I have a bunch left over. I can probably make another batch. So for 12 bucks, I can make this monstrous, look at my hand there, This is a 1 quart bag, and it's basically half full. So I have, probably close to a pound of snus here. Not bad at all. Starting to mush down a little bit. Still getting flavor from it. Good flavor. This turned out way better than what I was expecting. When I tried it when it was fresh, it wasn't bad, but I was like, yeah, it's all right. It's passable. Letting it sit for about 5 or 6 weeks, all the flavors have melded together. I got a slight smoky note, very slight, but it's there. I went a little easy on the liquid smoke because sometimes if you add too much, you can add a bitterness to it, to whatever you're using it in. Maybe next time I'll add a few more, a few more grams maybe. But all in all, I'm very impressed. Now, if I used a higher quality leaf, like ordered whole leaves from somewhere and ground them up, I'd probably come up with a much better product. This is a mixture of Burleys and Virginias, is what this is. Mainly Burley, a little bit of Virginia. All in all, yeah, Mikey's got snus again. Now, I gotta try and see if I can get some of this into portions. I bought some of those Ready Seal tea bags, do-it-yourself tea bags. You fill it up and you do a little heat press. I got a cheap little bag sealer heat press around here somewhere. If I can ever find it, somewhere in the mess that is my garage. And I got those heat seal tea bags. I was going to try cutting them to the proper sizes, filling them up, and then heat sealing them and seeing how well they work for a do-it-yourself portion snus. But that's another video. All in all, this is pretty good, I must say. It's been a while since I've had a nice loose snus, and this really hits the spot. Nicotine content on this one, moderate nicotine. I didn't alkalize it a whole lot. I added, you have a range of what you could add for the alkalizer. I went for mid-range, and that's pretty much what I'm getting here. A nice mid-range nicotine type thing. Nicotine hit. But all in all, good flavor. It's got a nice tobacco flavor. It's got that hints of that whiskey that's in there. Hints of smokiness that's in there. This turned out really good. Really good. Much, much better than I was anticipating. And the key was letting it sit for a few weeks. Just put it in the baggie, threw it in the back of the fridge, and I pretended it wasn't there. And 6 weeks later, yeah, this is pretty darn good. So, yeah, I know what I'm taking with me next time I go fishing. This is really good. I must say, I am impressed. Moderate nicotine level, and it's holding together extremely well. Much better than some of the commercially made loose snus that I've tried. Some of that stuff tends to get kind of muddy and you get the mudslides. This stuff's holding together. Because when I ground it, I left it a little on the coarser side, and I didn't sift it out because there might be some larger bits in there. I figured that might help hold it all together, and that seems to be the ticket. It is holding together quite well. U.S. Postal Service hat. No, I don't work for the USPS, but I can't sell this hat on eBay because this is a more modern logo, and for military, police, and stuff like that, current logo type stuff, eBay frowns upon people selling those, mainly because there are bad people in the world who will buy stuff like this and shirts and dress up as a postman and try and gain access to someone's house and do bad things. Therefore, I'm not even going to try to sell this on eBay. I'm just keeping it in my collection. I get to pretend I'm a mailman. Yeah. This, I've been wanting some snus, and this really hits the spot. This is scratching that snus itch quite well. I'm going to have to buy some of that loose leaf stuff one of these days and try it with some of the actual whole leaf tobacco. Get some different types, blend them together, and see what I can come up with. But for this cheap roll your own stuff, just a Burley and Virginia mix. Turned out really well. And I think grinding up those 2 old cigars and adding them into the mix as well helped add an extra little more depth of flavor. So it's not so, one note wonder. This actually has some depth and some richness to it. The addition of the whiskey helps add that whiskey, earthy, smoky peatiness to it as well. All in all, this has turned out really well. I'm impressed. Nordic Surfer, if you're ever watching this, thank you for your recipe. Matt, Snus at Home, thank you for all of your informative videos and processes and how you go through it. I put those 2 things together, and now Mikey is back in the snus game. And I didn't have to order from Sweden and hope that customs didn't intercept it. Anyway, this has been homemade snus. I'm calling this one a success. Very, very good. And it was very, very cheap. I mean, I only used about half that bag in this. And I got to figure, if I were to can this up, I'd probably have 10, 15 cans worth right here. At least. So, yeah. So, a couple bucks a can. If that. Yeah. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Anyway, if you enjoy the content, be sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Got some links down below in case you're interested in the nicotine pouches. I got a thing down there for a spittoon. I might throw a couple other links in there for some various other spittoons. There's one of them I'm going to order and do a review on. It's piqued my interest. So, anyway, this has been the do-it-yourself snus for people here like me in Oregon where it's difficult to get it now. Anyway, I will catch you all again later with another dip, chew, snus, snuff, or alternate product review. I'm going to continue to enjoy this because this is really hitting that snus itch. I tell you, it's a spot. I will catch you all later. Bye.